Hello. Today we are going to be talking about Ezekiel. And I hope you guys enjoy this video. I really do, because this is going to be a lot. So, first, what I'd like to get out of the way is that this video is a long essay on who is or was Ezekiel. This information comes from references like Total Drama Island character biographies, the wiki, the show, and a few other sources. The video that portrays Ezekiel is by the channel Ezekiel or at Ezekiel Miller on YouTube, and a link will be provided down in the comments. Make sure to check this guy out because his stuff is god tier and all Ezekiel related. I do not own Total Drama or this video. Please check out the show if you haven't, and be sure to check out Ezekiel Miller's channel, because this is great. Ezekiel grew up, and yes, I'm using the video's background because I have nothing else to use. Ezekiel grew up as the son of a couple of Canadian farmers, thought to be from Alberta. Ezekiel was sheltered by his parents. He loved homeschooling with his mother. However, Ezekiel once was caught skipping homeschool and hiding at the local school. His mother scolded him, of course, for doing so. This was the most embarrassing moment of his entire life so far. During recess, he liked to play his harmonica. Ezekiel loved his mom and would always give credit to her when asked about his schooling. Ezekiel was allowed to see television, but not movies, leading him to believe that subways were not real. Not sure how that works. Though Zeke nonetheless enjoyed his education. Thanks to his parents, Ezekiel went on to learn 8 different languages. He even ended up winning the National Spelling Bee Challenge contest because of that. His runner-ups swore at him in different languages due to how he taunted them afterwards. They then proceeded to beat him up afterwards after he just said they were jealous, and he licked their butts. Licked their butts means kisses, or kicked their butts, not kisses. Good lord. That was the last time he'd be in public talking to real other kids. He usually just saw them on TV. His parents, who were home economics teachers, homeschooled him to, quote, only be exposed to the finest sorts of people and receive the highest standard of education, end quote. The only reason Ezekiel signed up for Total Drama by his parents was due to his family doctor being concerned about Ezekiel's vitamin D deficiency. They were instructed to get him out of the house and into fresh air. Now he wants to learn about other kids. Ezekiel has poor teen speak and social skills, so this experiment on Total Drama was probably not the best place for him. Ezekiel excelled at every subject, but he may find there is more to the world than doing well in school. Ezekiel grew up lacking social skills and manners. One large part of the problem is his father taught Zeke sexist ideas, telling his son that he should look after any girls he met due to women not being as great at sports. He also always wears his toque, his hat. Or so far he's only worn it. But in Ezekiel's audition video, he's recorded trying to bag a moose with a moose call using a kazoo, and then pulling out a bow and arrow. Ezekiel then accidentally shoots his mother and runs to help her, terrified that she might be hurt. At the time he auditions, he is like 16, like all the other contestants. Ezekiel is accepted onto Total Drama Island and is greeted by Chris with a "What's up?" and he responds with a "I think I see a bird," which indicates his lack of communication with others. Ezekiel joins the Killer Bass team. He actively helps his team, showing that he's truly a team player and tries to interact with the others, mostly remaining silent as Chris earlier instructed him to. He completes the challenge, jumping off the cliff and landing in the safety zone, not without hitting a rock on his way down. Ezekiel then at the lunch table mentions that he was not sure why they lost, as the other team has more girls on it. Courtney or DJ were on the chopping block at that point, but Total Drama had more plot points for the two, so they had Ezekiel reveal his father's chauvinistic view on women, saying he thought that guys were stronger, better at sports, and smarter than girls are. Those views ended up getting him eliminated. Ezekiel is the first ever eliminated Total Drama contestant. The campfire ceremony allowed for the first boot to go either way between Ezekiel or Courtney. Ezekiel is a well-written first boot, which both makes sense, and yet has a chance to go either way. Ezekiel picking his nose that episode also gives a hint to the watcher that Ezekiel may be the one eliminated that episode. Ezekiel then starts his journey as the running gag of always being eliminated first. At Playa de Losers, Ezekiel lives a good life, getting sunglasses and a gold chain with a Z. He gets used to being treated in style and starts speaking differently, using words like homies, word, and yo. Ezekiel was obviously trying hard to fit in. He gets along okay with the other campers and Playa de Losers, and roots for Owen to win the finale. Ezekiel then teams up with two girls, Lindsay and Beth, to find the $1 million on the island. Ezekiel agrees to be respectful to them, as he did not realize he was disrespectful before and wants to be a better person. He sees the case in a tree and tries to point it out, but the girls shush him. He shuts up, walks away with them. Lindsay finds the case in the water later and he says, "Good eye, Lindsay." He then has some dialogue with them, showing he can work with other characters. They just need to give him a chance. Ezekiel then ends up not being in the water, which would allow him to be in the second season, eliminating him before the season even starts with the rest of the 2B Peanut Gallery in the aftermath. Ezekiel has not many moments in action. Let's go a little farther in this video real quick. He doesn't talk much. He does, however, make puppy eyes, almost crying when Trent sings his sad song. Ezekiel also seems to have some sort of rapper persona he tries to be. Ezekiel's the only one who agrees and claps when Jeff says that the prize money is more important than integrity. I'm sure Ezekiel would later regret that statement. After action, the contestants all go their separate ways. Ezekiel goes back to the farm, and when the paparazzi come by, he greets them, showing off his Z chain with a cowbell on it, getting caught in it and falling down. Ezekiel continues with this rapper-like awkward persona until, well, we'll get to that. There's a reason why this video is dark. I'm playing this music just so that it sounds a little bit better. Ezekiel then joins the others for the third season because he was also on the bus. He was forgotten to be introduced by Chris. Chris suddenly starts acting annoyed with Ezekiel, which is foreshadowing for the rest of this whole entire season. Ezekiel acts cocky, mentioning he'd been training in physical and mental ways, which is very in character for the studious Ezekiel. His social skills also need work, though, and he did not work on those for sure. Chris then complains about how he's also blabbier than he was before. He mentions he never wants to be eliminated first again. Such a shame, Ezekiel. Then Chris mentions the people who are safe get barf bags full of peanuts. Ezekiel says he has a peanut allergy, then changes his mind, saying it's a sensitivity. And then, while saying he probably just doesn't like peanuts, Chris throws him off the plane and prepares to take off without him. Ezekiel, thinking this was a joke, runs off the plane and prepares to take off without him. Ezekiel, thinking this was a stupid joke, tries to ask them to slow down. He managed to sneak on by climbing the landing gear, and he slips in with the cargo. Ezekiel then joins the contestants, not officially, before they race to the other side of the pyramid in Egypt. He gets lost in the pyramid, and the mummy raft falls on him. Owen tries to kiss him, thinking he's Izzy, and then leaves him and runs away when he thinks Ezekiel's a real mummy. Ezekiel gets carried out by Izzy and says, "Thanks for the help, ya knobs." This would be just the first part of Ezekiel mistreatment and his horrible, horrible luck this season. Chris then lets Ezekiel join because Duncan quit. Ezekiel joins Team Victory. He then accidentally makes Scarab stop mating, and they attack the contestants. Not sure how his singing made the rest of the singing not work, but I don't know. TV show logic. The stick Team Victory gets turns out to be a divining rod. Ezekiel works well with the rest of the team as they find their way towards the river. Ezekiel, during the song Rowing Time, then tries to bop the crocodile's nose after Harold tells his teammates to do it in the song. The croc steals the stick, and Ezekiel panics. Since they didn't have the stick, they had to vote someone off, and Ezekiel is the one in the team's sights. He apologizes and still gets voted off. However, Ezekiel doesn't want to lose. He holds on to the plane. One thing is clear. Ezekiel is not leaving this time. Sightings of Ezekiel appear as he watches from the shadows. And lives in the cargo and with the rats. Ezekiel isn't the same. Sightings of Ezekiel appear as he watches from the shadows and lives with the cargo and rats. He turns a sickly shade of green, his eyes red and bloodshot. Ezekiel, the boy with no social skills, has lost everything that made him human. Poor Zeke, only 16 or 17 years old, has become a feral, zombie-like beast. His sanity, not there anymore. Chris finds him and gives him the chance to return, provided he captures all the contestants as Jack the Ripper. Ezekiel losing the rest of his humanity, not speaking English, despite his linguistic achievements. He fails at his task and he gets thrown out of the plane, only to stow away on the landing gear. The landing wheel, specifically. Ezekiel has more moments of appearing in places. Ezekiel is ratted out by Blanley and used as a hunting objective. Ezekiel is now more beast than boy. He pants like a dog, scratches, roars, and bites. His hair is almost all gone and he's completely feral. Ezekiel does pull Duncan and Alejandro out of quicksand using a stick, which might show how he still has some sort of compassion. Ezekiel does attack Duncan and makes 3 bloody scratch marks on his chest. Ezekiel sneaks back into the plane and goes back in with the cargo. Ezekiel also later runs off the plane before it explodes with the other animals. Alejandro finds him in the box and sicks him on Heather. Ezekiel makes whimpering dog noises when Alejandro finds him in the box. This is not the homeschooled boy. Ezekiel's gone again after Heather beats him, and then Heather and Alejandro have their fight. At the end of the season, Ezekiel fights Heather or Chris for the $1 million briefcase. He pulls it away, but falls into lava, hugging the He falls into the lava. Hugging the briefcase. Like it's the only thing he has left. And is later shot out of the volcano, burnt. As he later looks off into the sunset, he swims back to Camp Wawanakwa. He starts living in the abandoned mines. He is slowly mutating. As the new cast go into the mines, he uses his control over mutant gophers to attack them and kidnap Anne Maria, who he has a crush on now. He awkwardly tries to give her the burnt $1 million, then gives her a diamond, which turns out to be fake. He's bested by the group, and they escape before Chris seals Ezekiel in the mine. Ezekiel is still being looked for by his parents. Once again, he is only around 16 or 17 years in age. He appears at the end trying to kiss Anne Maria and gets hit by Cameron. In All Stars, Ezekiel's brought back by Chris, only to be shot back out by the robot, eliminating him again before anything happens. First eliminated again. Later, a mutated Ezekiel kidnaps Chris on the 100th episode celebration and takes him down into the mines, tying Chris with rope above a vat of toxic sludge. Ezekiel now drools acid. Zeke, wanting Chris to feel the pain he felt. Chris then reminds Ezekiel of every time Chris disrespected him. Ezekiel releases the rats from the plane to eat at the rope. Ezekiel almost kidnaps all the contestants who are trying to get to Chris in the mines. Ezekiel is then defeated and left down in the mines. Ezekiel would find a way up, and the mutant creatures welcome him to open arms. The only beings that would accept him. Finally, Ezekiel's wanted posters are still in the redonkulous race. Ezekiel, still missing. In conclusion, Ezekiel was a naive, homeschooling farm boy with no social skills. He's a bit sexist due to his father's teachings, but he changed and he became a better person. He loved his parents and he's very intelligent. Ezekiel was invited to Total Drama, and it ruined him. Now more mutated beast than man, this teenager's lost and forgotten, forever missing. He was a child. And I know there are dark things in cartoons, but this is extremely dark for a 16 or 17-year-old to turn into this. Even if it's supposed to be Gollum parody. Ezekiel was meant to be a running gag at first boot, a simple character who was supposed to annoy us. But the creators were surprised to find people want redemption for Ezekiel. People wanted redemption for Ezekiel. We wanted a happy ending, and maybe we'll never get that. Ezekiel then became a monster who we tried to avoid the implications behind. Feral Ezekiel is a funny idea and an interesting plot point, if he wasn't a child. And unlike other contestants, this harm, this problem, it sticks. Owen's mouth is broken. It doesn't stick. Alejandro is burned alive. It doesn't stick. Harold's fine after every nut shot. Sierra grows her hair back. Heather grows her hair back. Stacy probably doesn't grow her hair back, I'm gonna be honest. But this harm sticks for Ezekiel. Ezekiel can't be changed back to who he was. Thanks to the radioactive waste, he and Dakota are both stuck like this. The only difference is Dakota now has a job, a boyfriend, and a good life ahead of her. Ezekiel has nothing. The creators of this show hinted that his DNA is changed forever, and he'll never be the same way he was. But another person who worked on Total Drama hinted that it might not be over for him. There's a chance this naive farm boy might go back to who he was eventually. And this time, he might learn a little bit more. Thank you for watching and listening to this story. This is the story of Ezekiel from Total Drama, known as the homeschooled guy, the mutant, the chauvinist, but overall, just a naive kid. Make sure to like and subscribe because I have polls for my next videos. And if you want to check those out, go ahead.